The first person to laugh when I said I was quitting was my best friend. Ethan stared at me across the bar, beer halfway to his mouth. You're quitting Mercer Group? Yes. The job that pays you enough to complain about taxes? Yes. The job where your boss is Vivian Mercer? I gave him a look. Why did you say her name like that? Because Vivian Mercer looks like she was designed in a laboratory to ruin men's judgment. That's exactly why I'm quitting. Ethan slowly lowered his beer. Oh, I'd worked for Vivian for 5 years. Officially, I was her executive assistant. Unofficially, I was the person who knew she hated raisins, drank coffee without sugar, forgot lunch whenever she was stressed, and tapped her pen twice against the desk when she was irritated but trying not to show it. I knew which meetings she secretly dreaded. I knew when she needed 5 minutes alone. I knew she pretended not to care about birthdays but remembered everyone else's. And somewhere between year 2 and year 3, I had made the spectacular mistake of falling in love with her. Vivian Mercer was beautiful, brilliant, wealthy, intimidating, and completely unavailable. She was also my boss, so I did what any reasonable 31-year-old man should do. I ignored it for years. Then my younger sister got married. At the reception, my mother cornered me beside the cake table. Daniel, no, I haven't said anything. You're holding your phone with Claire Dawson's picture open. She's lovely. Mom, she's an architect. Mom, she likes hiking. I don't like hiking. You own hiking boots. I bought them because Ethan lied to me about a short walk in Colorado. Mom ignored that. She's single. So am I. That's the problem. I sighed. Then my newly married sister walked past and whispered, just go on one date, Danny, before Mom starts printing resumes. I should have refused. Instead, I looked across the ballroom at couples dancing. For some stupid reason, I thought of Vivian, and suddenly I realized I was tired. Tired of wanting something I couldn't have. Tired of noticing the way Vivian loosened her hair after everyone left the office. Tired of pretending it meant nothing when she called me first whenever anything went wrong. Tired of spending my life emotionally loyal to a woman who had never asked for my loyalty outside work. So I told Mom, Fine, give Claire my number. That was how it started. 3 blind dates became 6 scheduled dates. My mother was delighted. My sister was unbearable. Ethan started calling at Operation Find Daniel a wife. And I decided I couldn't seriously date anyone while spending 12 hours a day beside the woman I was trying to get over. So on Monday morning, I placed my resignation letter on Vivian's desk. She read the first line, then the second. Her expression didn't change. That was Vivian. A building could collapse behind her, and she'd probably ask whether insurance had been notified. Finally, she looked up. No, I blinked. I'm sorry. No, I wasn't asking for vacation. I know. That's my resignation. I know. And your response is no? Yes. I almost laughed. Vivian, that's not how resignations work. It is today. She pushed the letter back toward me. I didn't touch it. I'm giving 4 weeks notice. You're giving 8. 4. 6. This isn't a negotiation. Everything is a negotiation. My resignation isn't. Her jaw tightened. Why? I had prepared answers. Career change, new opportunities, personal development. I'd even practiced them in the mirror. Then Vivian looked directly at me and asked again, why are you leaving me? Not the company, me. My carefully prepared speech disappeared. I want a life. Something shifted in her eyes. You have a life. No, I have a job. That's dramatic. I answered an email from you during my sister's wedding rehearsal. You told me you were available because you needed me. You didn't have to answer. I stared at her. She stared back. We both knew that was a lie. If Vivian called, I answered. Always. That was the problem. I rubbed the back of my neck. I'm 31. Vivian. I'm a wit. I want a date. Her face went completely still. I continued before I lost my nerve. I want weekends that don't belong to this office. I want to meet someone. Maybe get married eventually. Have kids. Her fingers tightened around her pen. You're quitting today? When you say it like that, it sounds ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It isn't to me. Then date. I am. Silence. It lasted maybe 3 seconds. It felt like 30. Vivian's voice became noticeably quieter. You're seeing someone? Not exactly. What does that mean? It means I've agreed to go on some dates. With whom? I laughed. That is absolutely none of your business. I'm your employer, which makes it even less your business. Her eyes narrowed. How many? How many what? Dates. Vivian, how many? I should have refused to answer. Instead, I said, 6. The pen in her hand stopped moving. 6. My mother got enthusiastic. You have 6 dates? Over the next few weeks. With 6 different women? That's generally how blind dating works. I know how dating works. Do you? Her eyes snapped to mine. I immediately regretted that. Not because she looked angry, because she looked hurt. It vanished so quickly, I almost thought I'd imagined it. She leaned back. Cancel them. I stared. What? Cancel the dates. Why? You're exhausted. You're making impulsive decisions. I've been thinking about this for months. Then you've been making a prolonged, bad decision. Despite myself, I smiled. That doesn't even make sense. It makes perfect sense. No, it sounds like you're annoyed because your assistant wants a personal life. I can hire another assistant. Great. That's why I gave you 4 weeks. Her expression chilled. I don't want another assistant. The words landed harder than they should have. I looked at her. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then I forced myself to remember all the reasons I was standing there. Someone else will learn. I don't want someone else to learn. Vivian, you know my schedule. I can document it. You know the board. I can brief my replacement. You know how I work. They'll adapt. You know me. That stopped me. Her voice had changed. Softer. Not CEO Vivian. Just Vivian. I swallowed. That's exactly the problem. Her eyes searched my face. What does that mean? I couldn't tell her. Not like this. Not while she was my boss. So I picked up the resignation letter, placed it directly in front of her again, and said, 4 weeks. Then I left. My hands didn't stop shaking until I reached the elevator. My first blind date was Friday. Claire Dawson, architect, 30, according to my mother. Very normal, which immediately made me suspicious. At 5:30, I changed in the executive restroom because going home first would make me late. I swapped my navy work suit for a light gray casual jacket, white shirt, dark trousers, and loafers. Ethan had insisted I needed to look available but not desperate. I had no idea what that meant. Apparently, this outfit qualified. At 6, I shut down my computer. For once, Vivian hadn't called me into her office. I grabbed my phone. One message from Claire. Looking forward to tonight. I'm already heading over asterisk asterisk. I typed back. Me too. See you at 7. Asterisk asterisk. Daniel. My fingers froze. Vivian stood outside her office. She'd removed her blazer and rolled the sleeves of her white blouse slightly. Her eyes moved over me. Slowly. Too slowly. What are you wearing? Clothes. I can see that. Good. I was worried. Her gaze returned to my face. You changed. Yes. Why? I held up my phone. Date. Her expression went blank. Tonight? Yes. You said over the next few weeks. Tonight falls within the next few weeks. Cancel it. I laughed once. I need you. For what? She paused. That was when I knew. She didn't have anything. I folded my arms. For what? Vivian, there are documents I want reviewed. Send them to me Monday. I want them tonight. Then ask Mark. Mark doesn't know the account. He does. I trained him. I don't want Mark. Then you have a problem. Her eyes narrowed. You've never spoken to me like this before. I've never had a date waiting for me before. Her gaze dropped to my phone. Another message appeared. Claire. I got us a table near the window. Vivian saw the name. Claire. I locked the screen. Don't. Claire Dawson. How do you know her last name? Your mother called the office yesterday. I closed my eyes. Of course she had. What did my mother tell you? That you were finally dating because apparently someone needs to get you away from that office. I wanted the floor to swallow me. I'm going to change my number. She seems to like Claire. She hasn't met Claire. She sent me her picture. My eyes flew open. What? Vivian's mouth tightened. She's blonde. That is generally visible in photographs. She looks young. She's 30. I see. What is that supposed to mean? Nothing. It sounded like something. It wasn't. I stepped toward the elevator. I'm leaving. Vivian moved too. Daniel, good night. The elevator doors opened. I reached for the button. My phone buzzed again. Before I could look at it, Vivian stepped close and pulled the phone directly from my hand. You still here? She stared back. My brain stopped working. Did you just take my phone? Yes. Give it back. No. Vivian. She held it behind her. Cancel the date. Have you lost your mind? Possibly. I actually laughed because I didn't know what else to do. You cannot confiscate your employee's phone. You resign. I'm still employed for 4 weeks. Then consider this an executive decision. It's theft. I'll return it. When? When you stop trying to date random women. I stared at her. Then something inside me finally snapped. Not anger. 5 years of confusion. 5 years of tiny moments. 5 years of wondering whether I imagined them. I stepped closer. Why do you care? Vivian's breathing changed. Because what? Her lips parted. Nothing came out. I nodded slowly. Exactly. I reached for the phone. She moved it away again. Daniel. No, you don't get to do this. Her eyes widened slightly. You don't get to act like I belong to you when I don't. Her face lost color. I continued. Quieter now. You want me at work? Fine. You want me to stay late because you trust me? Fine. But you don't get to stop me from finding someone just because it makes your life inconvenient. That's not why. Then why? Silence. I held out my hand. Give me my phone. She looked at my palm, then at me, and for the first time in 5 years, Vivian Mercer looked nervous. I can't. Why? Her fingers tightened around my phone. Then she said something so quietly I almost missed it. Because if I give it back, you'll go. Yes, to her. Yes, her eyes hardened, but the emotion underneath them wasn't anger. It was fear. She stepped in front of the elevator. One hand still held my phone. The other rested lightly against my chest, blocking my way without actually pushing me. Vivian, no, you can't keep saying no. I know. Then move. She didn't. Instead, she looked straight into my eyes. You don't need 6 blind dates. Why not? Because you already have someone. My heart stopped. I barely managed to speak. Oh. Vivian's hand remained against my chest. Her voice dropped. Me. For several seconds, I genuinely thought I'd misunderstood her. Me. One word. That was all Vivian had said. But after 5 years of convincing myself that the attraction between us existed entirely in my imagination, one word was enough to destroy my ability to form sentences. I stared at her. She stared back. Then the elevator doors closed behind me. Neither of us moved. Finally, I said, "What?" Vivian frowned. I said, "Me." I heard you. Then why did you ask what? Because there are several possible meanings of that sentence, and I'm trying very hard not to choose the one that makes me look insane. Her hand dropped from my chest. You want to date someone? Yes. I'm someone. I blinked. That is technically true. She glared. I almost smiled. Almost. Then I remembered Claire. Give me my phone. No, Vivian. You're not going. I absolutely am. Her expression changed. You're still going? Yes. After what I just said, you didn't actually say anything. I said you have me. As what? She went quiet. There it was. The problem. I took a slow breath. As what, Vivian? Her gaze shifted away for half a second. I knew Vivian well enough to understand how significant that was. She never looked away first. You're important to me. That isn't an answer. I don't know what answer you want. The honest one. I am being honest. No, you're being careful. Her jaw tightened. I lowered my voice. I've spent 5 years being careful around you. I'm done. Her eyes snapped back to mine. I continued. You don't get to stop me from dating because you suddenly realized you don't like the idea. It wasn't sudden. My heart kicked. What? She looked irritated now. Not at me. At herself. It wasn't sudden. How long? She said nothing. Vivian, your date is waiting. That didn't seem to bother you 30 seconds ago. It bothers me now. Why? Because I dislike repeating myself. You're unbelievable. And you're going to be late. You said the here. Then held out my hand. My phone. This time, she gave it back. I checked the time. 6:19. Plenty of time. Then I looked at Vivian. Monday. What? We'll talk Monday. No. I nearly laughed. Of course not. Tomorrow. It's Saturday. I'm aware. I have plans. With Claire. She visibly relaxed. That annoyed me more than it should have. Lunch, she said. Vivian, please. That word stopped me. Vivian Mercer didn't say please often. Not because she was rude. Because she was used to people anticipating what she needed before she asked. I studied her. Lunch. She nodded. Noon. Fine. I turned toward the elevator. Daniel. I looked back. Her face had softened. Don't fall in love with her tonight. You said here. That's not usually how first dates work. I'm serious. So am I. Then I stepped into the elevator. Just before the doors closed, I saw her looking at me like she'd made the biggest mistake of her life by letting me leave. Claire was wonderful, which was inconvenient. She was funny, smart, direct, and easy to talk to. Halfway through dinner, she set down her wine and said, "Can I ask you something weird?" "Please do." "Are you emotionally available?" I nearly choked on my water. She laughed. "That bad? What gave me away?" "You've checked your phone twice." "I'm sorry. Both times you looked disappointed that there wasn't a message." I looked down at my phone. Damn. Claire leaned forward. No. Complicated coworker. I hesitated. Her eyebrows rose. "Boss." I stared at her. She burst out laughing. "Oh, wow. Boss." I didn't say that. You didn't have to. I rubbed my forehead. This is going terribly. Actually, I'm having fun. You're enjoying my suffering. A little. I smiled. She took another sip. So, what happened? I'm not sure. That sounds promising. Right before I came here, she stole my phone. Claire blinked. Your boss stole your phone? Yes. To stop you from coming? Yes. And you still came? Yes. Okay. Now I'm offended. I gave my word. That somehow makes it worse. I'm sorry. She laughed again. Daniel, relax. I agreed to dinner, not a mortgage. I smiled despite myself. Then Claire's expression turned thoughtful. Do you love her? I didn't answer. That was answer enough. Does she know? No. Do you know how she feels? Until about an hour ago, I would have said she feels nothing. And now, I remembered Vivian standing in front of the elevator. You already have someone. Me. I have absolutely no idea. Claire nodded. Then figure it out before you go on 6 dates and accidentally drag 6 women into whatever romantic disaster you two are creating. That's fair. Also, for the record, I'm not interested in competing with an ice queen who steals phones. She doesn't usually steal phones. That sounded defensive. It was. Claire grinned, definitely in love. At 11:47 the next morning, I walked into a small restaurant near Washington Square. Vivian was already there. That alone was disturbing. Vivian was never early for personal things because Vivian barely had personal things. She wore dark jeans, a cream sweater, and a long camel coat folded beside her. I stopped. She looked completely different outside the office. Softer, younger, dangerous in an entirely new way. Her eyes moved over me. You're staring. You're wearing jeans. I own jeans. I've never seen proof. Sit down. You said a coffee was already waiting for me. I picked it up. 2 sugars. You always use 2 on weekends. I looked at her. How do you know that? You complain that weekday coffee needs to be stronger. That doesn't answer my question. I pay attention. My chest tightened. Vivian folded her hands. How was your day? Good. Her face changed instantly. How good? I laughed. You called me here to interrogate me? No. Then why am I here? She inhaled. I owe you an explanation. Yes. I handled yesterday badly. That's one way to describe stealing my phone. I returned it after holding it hostage. I panicked. You said here. You. Yes. Panicked. Don't enjoy this. I'm trying to process it. She looked down at her coffee. I thought I had more time. For what? To decide what to do about you. My pulse jumped. About me? You've been beside me for 5 years. I know. I became accustomed to it. That sounds romantic. Her eyes narrowed. I'm not good at this. I noticed. She exhaled sharply. Then she looked at me. I don't want you dating other women. That part was clear. I want you to stay. Also clear. And I know those 2 things make me selfish. I waited. She continued, but I don't want to lie to you anymore. My heart was pounding now. Then don't. Her fingers tightened around her coffee cup. I think about you when you aren't there. I said nothing. I notice when you laugh with someone else. My throat went dry. I hate when women flirt with you. Women flirt with me? That isn't the point. It's slightly interesting. Daniel. She almost smiled. Almost. Then she continued. When you're sick. I worry. When you take vacation. The office feels wrong. When you mentioned dating, I spent the entire afternoon pretending I could read the same paragraph. You said here. She swallowed. And when you said you were leaving because you wanted a wife and children, I realized I'd been assuming you would simply stay beside me forever. That wasn't fair. No, I would've. She froze. I immediately wished I could pull the words back. What? I looked away. Nothing. Daniel, you don't get to use my own tone against me. What did you mean? I laughed quietly. You really don't know? Her expression changed. Slowly. Tell me. I shook my head. No. Why? Because you're still my boss. I can change that. That's not what I mean. Then what do you mean? I leaned forward. You're scared because I'm leaving. That doesn't automatically mean you want a relationship. Her face tightened. I know the difference. Do you? Yes. Then what do you want? She opened her mouth. Stopped. I nodded. That's what I thought. I stood. Vivian immediately reached across the table and caught my wrist. Wait. I looked down at her hand. She didn't release me. I need time. I gave you 5 years without realizing it. Her expression softened. That isn't fair. No, but it's true. I gently pulled my wrist free. I'm not asking you for an answer today. Then don't go on more dates. I laughed. You can't have both. What? You can't ask me to wait while you decide whether you want me. Her face went pale. I'm not going to be your backup plan. Vivian, you could never be that. Then prove it. I left. 3 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Vivian, cancel tomorrow's date. I stared at it. Another message appeared. Vivian, I'm going to prove it. Then another. Vivian. And Daniel? I waited. Vivian, Claire is too blonde for you. I laughed so loudly that 2 people on the sidewalk turned around. Vivian's idea of proving herself began at 7:12 Monday morning. I walked into the office and found breakfast on my desk. Not catering, not a generic bagel. My exact breakfast order from the cafe 3 blocks away. Egg sandwich, no tomato, black coffee, 2 sugars packed separately. There was a note beside it. You forget breakfast on Mondays. Vizgichka, vizgichka. I stared at the note. Mark, the analyst I was training to replace me, appeared beside my desk. Is that from Ms. Mercer? No. He read the note. It literally says V. There are many people whose names start with V. Name one. Victor. Do we know a Victor? No. Mark grinned. You're sleeping with the boss. I nearly threw the coffee at him. I am absolutely not. Yet, go away. He left laughing. At 8, Vivian called me into her office. I carried my tablet. Your 9 o'clock moved to 10. Legal sent the revised documents. You have lunch with. Are you free tonight? I stopped. What? Dinner? You interrupted your own scheduled briefing to ask me to dinner? Yes. Why? Her eyebrows rose. Do you generally require women to submit an agenda before agreeing to dinner? Only women who sign my paychecks. I told you. I'm proving it. My heart did something inconvenient. I have plans. With another woman? Yes. Vivian's expression changed. I almost felt bad. Almost. Which one? Her name is Natalie. Occupation? Veterinarian. Age? 32. Blonde. I laughed. Brunette. That's worse. How? I haven't decided yet. Vivian. Cancel. No. She leaned back. You're enjoying this. A little. Her eyes narrowed. You dislike you? No, apparently you don't. That actually made her blush. Vivian Mercer blushed. I had to look away before I lost all remaining dignity. Daniel. Yes. Go away. Gladly. Daniel. I turned at the door. Don't enjoy dinner too much. I smiled. No promises. Natalie canceled at 4. Emergency surgery. Completely legitimate. I replied that we could reschedule. At 4:03. Vivian appeared beside my desk. Your date canceled. I looked up slowly. How do you know? You looked at your phone and smiled politely instead of stupidly. I smile stupidly when you're happy. That might be the nicest insult anyone has ever given me. She ignored that. So you're free, I suppose. Dinner. I studied her. Are you asking me on a date? Yes. That direct answer surprised me. You're sure? I spent the weekend deciding, and I want to date you. My pulse accelerated. Why? She stared at me. Do people usually ask for supporting documentation? I've been in love with you for 3 years. Forgive me for wanting clarity. Silence. Absolute silence. My brain caught up with my mouth approximately 2 seconds too late. Vivian stood completely still. I closed my eyes. Forget I said that. No. Vivian. 3 years. I'm leaving. She stepped in front of the door. Apparently, blocking exits was becoming a habit. 3 years. I sighed. Yes. Her expression was unreadable. Then she said, You idiot. I stared. Excuse me? 3 years. Yes. And you said nothing? You were my boss. You could have said something. You could have said something. I'm saying something now. Because I quit. Because you finally scared me enough to stop being a coward. That shut me up. Vivian looked directly at me. I didn't understand what I was doing. What were you doing? Waiting for you. I frowned. For me to do what? Make the first move? I laughed in disbelief. You're Vivian Mercer. Yes. You terrify senior executives. I'm aware. You once made a lawyer apologize to a conference table. He scratched it, and you were waiting for me? Yes. Why? Her voice softened. Because you were the one person I couldn't risk losing. The anger left me. She continued. If someone else asked me out and I said no, nothing changed. If you asked me and it went badly, I lost the person I trusted most. So you did nothing. Yes. And then I quit and announced you were going on 6 dates, which you handled very maturely. I stole one phone. One more than most CEOs. She almost smiled. Then she held out her hand. Dinner. I looked at it. What? I'm asking properly. You want me to hold your hand? Yes. In the office? Yes. You know people can see through that glass wall. I'm aware. I looked toward the hallway. Several people suddenly became extremely interested in their computers. I looked back at Vivian. You really thought this through? No. That made me laugh. She stepped closer. Daniel Reed, will you have dinner with me tonight? I looked at the woman I'd wanted for 3 years. Every instinct told me to say yes. So naturally, I said no. Her face fell. It hurt more than I expected. Why? Because you're still my boss. I can't stop being CEO. I know. So my resignation stands. Her eyes hardened. No. Yes. You're still leaving? Yes. Even if we date? Especially if we date. She stared at me. I explained. I don't want to wonder whether I stayed because you wanted your assistant. I don't want you wondering whether I'm with you because you control my career. I would never. I know, but I want us to start clean. Her expression slowly softened. So you're leaving in 3 weeks. And then I smiled. Then ask me again. She studied me. Fine. Fine. I turned toward the door. Daniel. Yes, I'm still taking you to dinner tonight. That contradicts everything we just discussed. It's not a date. What is it? A meeting about your resignation. I laughed. You're impossible, and you're free at 7. Dinner was absolutely a date. Vivian could call it a shareholder meeting if she wanted. She wore a dark green dress. She asked about my family. She remembered my sister's dog's name. She told me about her childhood. She admitted she hated networking events because everyone wanted something from her. Then she looked across the table and said, "You never did." "Never did what?" "Want something. I wanted plenty. Like you." Her cheeks turned pink again. I was becoming addicted to that. She looked down at her plate. "You're doing that intentionally." "Doing what?" "Making me uncomfortable. You stole my phone. You're never letting that go, are you?" "Probably not." She sighed. Then her phone rang. She ignored it. It rang again. She turned it face down. I raised an eyebrow. "You should answer." "No, it might be important." "You're more important. You sit here." Vivian seemed to realize what she'd said. Neither of us spoke. Finally, I smiled. "That was good." "What?" "Your proof." Her eyes softened. "Good." When dinner ended, we walked outside. I expected her driver. Instead, Vivian stopped beside me. "Daniel." "Yeah." "Can I do something inappropriate?" I laughed. That question is alarming coming from my boss. "I'm serious." I looked at her. She stepped closer. Not enough to touch. Just enough that I could feel the tension between us. "What?" I asked. Her gaze dropped briefly to my mouth. My heartbeat stumbled. Then she reached up and straightened my collar. That was all. But her fingers lingered. "I wanted to kiss you," she whispered. I swallowed. "Why didn't you?" "Because you told me to wait until you leave. I said we shouldn't officially date." "That's different." "Very." Her eyes lifted. "Good." Then she kissed my cheek. Softly, briefly. She stepped back before I could react. "Good night, Daniel." She walked toward her car. I stood there like an idiot. Then my phone buzzed. "Vivian, 3 weeks is too long." I smiled. "Me? You survived 5 years." Her reply came immediately. "Vivian, I didn't know what I was missing." For the next 2 weeks, Vivian pursued me with the same focus she usually reserved for major negotiations. Except she was terrible at romance. Spectacularly terrible. On Tuesday, she sent flowers to my apartment. The card said, "These seemed appropriate. Vivian asterisk asterisk." I texted her. "Appropriate for what?" "Vivian. Dating. Me. We're not dating yet." 3 dots appeared. "Vivian. Then consider them pre-dating flowers." On Wednesday, she brought me lunch. Not ordered. Brought. I stared at the homemade sandwich. "You made this?" "Yes." "Personally?" "Yes." "Should I contact poison control now or after the first bite?" She glared. "I can cook." I took a bite. I chewed. She watched me. "Well, it's good." She visibly relaxed. "You were nervous." "No, you were." "I wasn't." "You were worried I wouldn't like your sandwich." "Daniel." I smiled. "Thank you." Her expression softened. "You're welcome." On Thursday, she asked Ethan for advice. That betrayal nearly ended our friendship. He called me afterward. "Your CEO is terrifying." "I know." She asked me what you like in women. "What did you say?" "That you like emotionally unavailable brunettes with control issues." "You're dead to me." She wrote it down. "She what?" "I'm kidding." I hung up. 30 seconds later, Vivian texted me. "Vivian, I do not have control issues." I stared at my phone, then called Ethan back. "You told her?" She was standing beside me. Friday was supposed to be my 5th blind date. I had canceled 2 after my conversation with Claire, but Natalie and I had already rescheduled, and part of me still felt I needed to go. Not because I wanted Natalie, because Vivian and I weren't together. Not yet. And I needed to know I wasn't simply falling back into the same pattern because Vivian had finally shown interest. Natalie and I met at a wine bar. She was funny. Again. Attractive. Again. Completely normal. Again. And I spent the first 20 minutes thinking about Vivian. Finally, Natalie put down her glass. "There's someone else." I sighed. "Am I that obvious?" You smiled at your phone when it didn't even light up. "That's depressing." "Who is she?" "My boss." Natalie blinked. "Your boss." "Soon-to-be former boss." "That sounds healthier." "Marginally." She laughed. "Does she know you're here?" "Yes." "How did that go?" I remembered Vivian's face when I told her. "You're still going?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I said I would." "I hate your sense of responsibility." "Not well." Natalie smiled. "Then why are you here?" I considered lying. Instead, I told the truth. "Because I've loved her for years, and I'm scared that if I run straight into her arms now, I'll never know whether she chose me or just panicked because I was leaving." Natalie nodded slowly. "That's actually reasonable." "Thank you." "Still annoying for me." "I know." She smiled. "By dinner and we'll call it even." "Deal." We were finishing dessert when someone stopped beside our table. "Daniel." I closed my eyes. "No." Natalie's eyebrows rose. I looked up. Vivian stood there. Black dress. Hair loose. Expression perfectly composed, which meant she was furious. Beside her stood an older woman I recognized as one of her family friends. Vivian looked at Natalie. Natalie looked at Vivian. Then Natalie looked at me. "Oh." she whispered. I knew exactly what she meant. Vivian Mercer in person was a problem. Vivian, I said carefully. What are you doing here? Dinner. Here. It's a restaurant. I'm familiar with the concept. Her eyes moved to Natalie. I stood. Natalie Brooks. Vivian Mercer. Natalie extended a hand. Nice to meet you. Vivian shook it. Likewise. That was the coldest likewise I had ever heard. Natalie, apparently fearless, smiled. Daniel's told me about you. Vivian looked at me. He has? Quite a lot. Natalie, what? You have. Vivian's gaze returned to her. And what exactly did he say? That he's in love with you. I nearly died. Vivian froze. Natalie picked up her purse. Well, this has been fun. Natalie. She hugged me, deliberately. I heard Vivian inhale. Natalie whispered in my ear. She looks like she's considering murder. Good luck. Then she stepped back. Call me if you two somehow mess this up. She walked away. I stared after her. You hugged her. I turned. Vivian stood with her arms folded. That is your opening sentence? You hugged her. She hugged me. You participated. How exactly does someone not participate in a hug? Move, Vivian. Her family friend wisely excused herself. Now, we were alone. Vivian looked furious and hurt. Mostly hurt. My irritation disappeared. Come here. No, Vivian. I said no. You're jealous. I'm not. You followed me to my table. I was already here. You're glaring at the chair Natalie was sitting in. It's an ugly chair. I laughed. She glared harder. Then I stepped closer. Nothing happened. I know. She knows about you. I gathered that. I told her I'm in love with you. Vivian's expression changed instantly. The anger vanished. You said that. Yes. To her? Yes. Before I arrived? I smiled. Yes. She looked away. Good. I laughed. You are unbelievably competitive. I don't like losing. This isn't a competition. It felt like one. I stepped closer. What are you afraid of? Her voice became quiet. That you'll meet someone easier. That answer hit me hard. Easier. Someone without my schedule, without my reputation. Someone who doesn't freeze whenever feelings become inconvenient. Vivian. Someone who doesn't need 3 years and a resignation letter to realize she's in love. My heart stopped. She realized what she had said at the same moment I did. You said, "Yeah, you're in love with me?" Her lips parted. For once, Vivian had nowhere to hide. Yes. One word. No cualificación. No justificación. Just yes. I stepped closer. Say it properly. Her eyes widened. Daniel. Please. She looked terrified. That made me understand how much this cost her. So I waited. Finally, she whispered, I love you. Every reason I had for keeping my distance collapsed. I reached for her hand. She immediately intertwined her fingers with mine. You have 11 days left, she said. Until I leave? Yes. You're counting? Obviously. And then, her thumb brushed across my knuckles. Then I'm asking you out. I smiled. What if I say no? Her eyes narrowed. I'll ask again. And again, as many times as necessary. I laughed. That sounds vaguely threatening. It's romantic, debatable. She moved closer. Daniel, yeah, can I kiss you now? I looked at her. 11 days. Her face fell. I couldn't help myself. I leaned down and kissed her forehead. Her eyes closed. When I pulled back, she looked annoyed. That was cruel. You'll survive. I'm reconsidering loving you. No, you're not. No. Her hand tightened around mine. I'm really not. My replacement arrived the following Monday. Her name was Rebecca Cole. She was smart, organized, experienced, and exactly the kind of person Vivian needed. I had personally recommended her. Vivian hated her immediately, not because Rebecca did anything wrong, because Rebecca sat at my desk. This system is inefficient, Vivian said on Rebecca's second day. I looked up. What system? The handover. You approved it. I've changed my mind. Rebecca glanced between us. I sighed. Vivian, she doesn't know my preferences. She's been here 2 days. You knew them by day 2. No, I didn't. You knew I hated afternoon calls. Because you told me. I shouldn't have to tell her. That is literally what training is. Rebecca covered a smile. Vivian noticed. Something amusing? No. Ms. Mercer. I stepped between them before Vivian could traumatize my replacement. Office. Now. Vivian raised an eyebrow. You're ordering me into my office? Yes. Rebecca whispered. Good luck. I closed the door behind us. What are you doing? Evaluating her. You're terrorizing her. She put lemon in my water. You like lemon. Not on Mondays. You invented that. I did not. Vivian. She folded her arms. I don't like her. Why? She's replacing you. That's the purpose. I dislike the purpose. I tried not to smile. You agreed to let me leave. I agreed not to chain you to your desk. Very progressive. I'm still unhappy. I know. Her expression softened. 5 days. You're counting down now? Yes. You know I'm not disappearing. You won't be here. I'll be 15 minutes away. That's far. I laughed. You own a car. That isn't the point. What is the point? She walked toward me. The point is that for 5 years, if I wanted to see you, I opened my door. Her voice softened. After Friday, I'll have to ask. That's usually how relationships work. I don't like it. You'll learn. She stopped inches away. And if you're busy, I'll tell you. If you don't answer, I'll call back. If you meet someone, I touched her chin gently. She stopped. There isn't someone else. Her eyes searched mine. You're sure? Yes. What about Natalie? Friend. Claire. Friend. The other four? Canceled. Her eyes widened. When? Last week. You canceled them? Yes. For me. Mostly because it felt unfair to them. Her face fell. I smiled. And because I'm in love with you. She relaxed. Better. You need constant reassurance, don't you? No. Yes. She looked offended. Then she quietly said, maybe. I brushed my thumb along her cheek. She leaned into the touch before realizing what she was doing. The vulnerability in that tiny movement nearly destroyed me. Vivian, why didn't you ever date? She became still. I did. When? Before you. That shouldn't have made me happy. It did. What happened? Nothing dramatic. She stepped back and leaned against her desk. People like the idea of me. What does that mean? They like Mercer, the apartment, the restaurants, the access. Her mouth tightened. One man actually asked me to introduce him to an investor during our third date. Ouch. Another sold details about our relationship to a gossip site. My smile disappeared. I didn't know that. I made sure it disappeared quickly. Is that why you're so guarded? Partly. And me? She looked at me. You knew exactly who I was and never seemed impressed. I was impressed. You complained about my handwriting on your first week. It was terrible. You told me my schedule was a human rights violation. You made me eat lunch. You get mean when you're hungry. I do not. You once made an intern cry because you skipped breakfast. He deleted a spreadsheet. Accidentally. She smiled. A real smile. You treated me like a person. You're a person. Most people forget. I walked closer again. I never did. I know. She looked up at me. That's when it started. When? What started? You. My chest tightened. I don't understand. She smiled slightly. Neither did I. Then she reached up and fixed my tie. You wore this one on my birthday 3 years ago. I looked down. You remember my ties? I remember everything about you. That's slightly terrifying. You like it. I really do. She smiled. Then there was a knock. Rebecca opened the door. So, the 10:30 is waiting. Vivian's expression immediately returned to professional calm. I'll be there. Rebecca nodded. Then she looked at Vivian's hand still resting on my tie. Then at me. Then back at Vivian. I can come back. Vivian removed her hand. No. Rebecca disappeared. I laughed. You scared her. You're enjoying this far too much. 5 days. Her expression softened again. 5 days. That evening, I got a call from my mother. So what? Claire told me you're in love with your boss. I nearly dropped the phone. How does Claire have your number? I gave it to her. Why? She's lovely. Mom, is it true? I sighed. Yes. Silence. Then she screamed. Actually screamed. I pulled the phone away. Mom, I knew it. You absolutely did not. I told your father. You told Dad before asking me? He owes me $50. You were betting on my love life? Your sister had you marrying Claire by Christmas. This family is insane. Bring Vivian to dinner Sunday. No, Daniel. She's Vivian Mercer. She doesn't do casual family dinners. Then she can learn. I rubbed my forehead. I'll ask. Good. I hung up. Then I turned. Vivian was standing behind me. I nearly jumped. How long have you been there? Long enough. You heard? Your mother wants me at dinner. She does. Sunday. Yes. I'll come. You said here. That was easy. I want to meet them. You've met my mother. She threatened me. She encouraged you to let me date. Exactly. I laughed. Vivian looked nervous. Will they like me? I stared. You're worried? No. You are. I asked a question. I stepped closer. My mother already likes you. Why? Because apparently she's been waiting for us to figure this out. Vivian's expression softened. And your father? He'll like anyone who makes me happy. Her eyes met mine. Do you what? Make you happy? I didn't tease her. Not this time. I took her hand. Yes. The tension left her shoulders. Good. Then she looked down at our joined hands. 4 days. I smiled. You're impossible. 4. My last day at Mercer Group should have felt triumphant. Instead, it felt strange. 5 years. One desk. Thousands of emails. Hundreds of late nights. More cups of coffee than I wanted to calculate. By 4 in the afternoon, my desk was almost empty. Rebecca had taken over completely. She was doing well. Even Vivian had stopped pretending otherwise. Mostly. At 4:30, Mark brought cake. At 5, the team gave me a watch. At 5:30, half the floor hugged me goodbye. Vivian didn't come out of her office. I knew she was there. Her calendar was empty. Her door remained closed. At 6, Everyone left. I packed the last framed photo into my box. Then I knocked on Vivian's door. No answer. I opened it anyway. She stood by the window with her back to me. "You're leaving?" "Yes." She didn't turn. "You could stay until Monday." I smiled. "My notice ends today." "Technically, the workday ends at midnight." "Nice try." She finally turned. Her eyes were red. That erased my smile. "Vivian, you're crying." "I am not." "You definitely are." "I have allergies." "In August." "Yes." "Inside your office?" "Daniel." I set the box down. She looked away. "I hate this." I walked toward her. "I know. You're happy." "I'm happy about what comes next." "You're leaving me." "No." Her eyes returned to mine. "I'm leaving the job. It feels the same." I stopped in front of her. "Then ask me." She frowned. "Ask you what?" "The question you've been waiting 3 weeks to ask." Her expression changed. Slowly, she looked at the clock. 6:08. "You're still technically employed." I laughed. "Vivian, I want this done correctly." "Fine." I reached into my pocket, pulled out my employee badge, placed it on her desk. "There. I quit." She looked at the badge, then at me. "Effective immediately?" "Effective immediately." "You're unemployed for the next 2 weeks." "Excellent." I laughed. "Why is that excellent?" "Because now I can do this." She grabbed the front of my shirt and kissed me. There was nothing hesitant about it. 3 years of waiting, 3 weeks of frustration, 5 years of things neither of us had said. All of it disappeared into one kiss. I wrapped my arms around her waist. She pulled me closer. When we finally separated, both of us were breathing hard. Vivian looked at me. "I have wanted to do that for 3 years." I smiled. "You could have saved us a lot of trouble." "So could you." "Fair." Her hand stayed against my chest. Then she seemed to remember something. "Wait, what?" She stepped back. I immediately missed her. She straightened her blouse, smoothed her hair, and became serious. I laughed. "What are you doing?" "Starting over." "Starting what over?" She held out her hand. "Daniel Reed." "Yes." "Would you have dinner with me tomorrow night?" I stared at her. She waited. There was something almost absurdly sweet about the fact that she looked more nervous asking me to dinner than she had negotiating multi-million-dollar contracts. I pretended to think. Her eyes narrowed. "Daniel, I'm checking my schedule. You're unemployed." That was unnecessarily personal. "Answer me." I smiled. "Yes." Her entire face changed. Not dramatically. Vivian didn't do dramatic, but her shoulders relaxed. Her eyes softened, and she smiled. "Good." I took her hand. "Now can I kiss you again?" "Yes." So I did. Sunday dinner with my family was worse. Vivian had faced hostile boardrooms with less anxiety. We sat in her car outside my parents' house. She didn't move. "You're scared." "No." "You've been staring at their front door for 3 minutes." "I'm assessing." "It's a suburban house, not a hostile takeover." "You said your father is protective." "He's a high school history teacher." "That doesn't make him harmless." I laughed. She glared. Then I reached across and took her hand. "You don't have to impress them." "Yes, I do." "No, they're important to you." So, they're important to me." My chest tightened. I lifted her hand and kissed her knuckles. "You're going to be fine." She looked at me. "Stay beside me." "Always." The word came out before I thought about it. Vivian went still. Then she smiled. "Good." My mother opened the front door before we even reached it. "Vivian." I closed my eyes. "Here we go." Mom hugged her. Vivian froze like she'd been attacked, then awkwardly hugged her back. Dad shook her hand. My sister whispered to me, "She's gorgeous." "I know. Way out of your league." "Thank you, Emily." "You're welcome." Dinner started normally. It lasted 12 minutes. Then Mom asked, "So, when did you fall in love with my son?" "Mom." Vivian answered immediately. 3 years ago." Everyone went silent. "You still here?" She continued calmly. "He corrected me in front of 6 executives." Dad laughed. "What did he correct?" "My financial projections. They were wrong." I said they were incomplete. "They were wrong." Vivian looked at my father. "This is why I love him." Mom actually put her hand over her heart. I wanted to disappear. My sister looked delighted. "You two are disgusting. You've been married for 3 months." I reminded her. "That's different." Later, while everyone argued over dessert, Vivian found me in the kitchen. "Your family is loud." "Yes." "Your mother showed me baby pictures." I apologize. "You were cute." "I'm leaving." She caught my hand. "Daniel." "What?" "I like them." I smiled. "They like you." "How do you know?" "My mother gave you leftovers." "That means something?" "That means she has emotionally adopted you." Vivian looked strangely pleased. "Good." I leaned against the counter. "Good." "Yes." She moved closer. "I intend to keep you." I laughed. "Keep me?" "Yes." "That sounds possessive." "I stole your phone on our first unofficial date." "That wasn't a date. It was emotionally significant." I wrapped an arm around her waist. "You're ridiculous." She rested her hands against my shoulders. "And you love me." "Ido." The words felt different now. Easy, right? Her eyes softened. Say it again. I love you. She kissed me. My sister walked into the kitchen. Oh, come on. Vivian immediately stepped away. I laughed. Emily grabbed the pie. Mom, they're making out next to the dishwasher. Emily, from the dining room. Mom shouted, leave them alone. Vivian covered her face. I had never seen her so embarrassed. It might have been my favorite thing in the world. Dating Vivian was surprisingly normal. Mostly, she still worked too much. I still reminded her to eat. She still hated when I took too long to answer messages. I still teased her about stealing my phone. But now she kissed me when she was annoyed, which was a considerable improvement. 2 months after I left Mercer Group, I started consulting for a smaller firm. Less money, better hours, no regrets. Vivian pretended to support this maturely. Then I got assigned to a project with a woman named Samantha Blake. The first time I mentioned Samantha over dinner, Vivian stopped chewing. Who? Samantha. Who is Samantha? My project lead. Age. I laughed. Oh, Daniel. We've discussed this. I masken professionally. You are not. What does she look like? No. Mary. I don't know. You don't know? Why would I? You work together. I worked with Mark for 4 years and couldn't tell you his anniversary. That's different. How? Mark is Mark. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my fork. Vivian glared. This isn't funny. It's extremely funny. She folded her arms. Fin. She picked up her wine, then casually asked, where did Samantha go to college? I stared. She sighed. I'm working on it. I reached across the table and took her hand. I'm yours. Her expression softened immediately. I know. Do you? Yes. Then stop interrogating me about Samantha. I'll try. Thank you. Is she pretty? Vivian. I said I'd try. I didn't say I'd succeed immediately. The real problem came 3 weeks later. Not Samantha. My old job. Rebecca called me. Daniel, I need advice. About Vivian? Yes. Is she skipping lunch? Yes. Put food directly on her desk. She ignores it. Remove her laptop. I value my life. Fair. Rebecca hesitated. There's something else. What? She's been staying until midnight again. I frowned. Why? She says she's fine. That meant she wasn't. I called Vivian. No answer. I called again. Still nothing. At 10:30 that night, I went to the office. My old badge didn't work anymore, which felt weird. Security recognized me and let me upstairs. Vivian sat alone in her office, laptop open, 3 untouched containers of food beside her. I walked in. She looked up. Daniel. I closed the laptop. What are you doing? Saving Rebecca from a nervous breakdown. She called you? Yes. Vivian frowned. She shouldn't have. She cares. I'm fine. No, you're doing the thing. What thing? The thing where you bury yourself in work because you don't want to talk. I don't do that. You absolutely do. She looked away. I sat across from her. What happened? Nothing. Vivian. Daniel. We stared at each other. Finally, she sighed. My father called. I knew enough about Richard Mercer to understand. They weren't close. What did he want? He thinks I'm making a mistake. With what? Her eyes met mine. You. I went still. What? He thinks dating you is inappropriate. Because I worked for you? Because you don't come from our world. I laughed once. Not because it was funny. Vivian's expression hardened. I told him exactly what I thought. I'm sure you did. He said eventually you'll resent me. Do you believe him? No. The answer came instantly. Then why are you here at 11 at night? She looked down. Because he asked me what happens when you realize you gave up a prestigious position and change your entire life because of me. I didn't. I know. Do you? She said nothing. I stood and walked around the desk. Vivian looked up at me. I didn't quit because of you. You said. I quit because I was stuck. She listened. I loved you and couldn't move forward. I wanted a family. I wanted a life outside work. Quitting was the first decision I'd made for myself in years. I crouched beside her chair. And then you finally told me you loved me. Her eyes softened. That was a bonus. A bonus? A very attractive bonus. She almost smiled. I took her hands. I don't resent you. You took a pay cut. I also leave work at 6. You gave up status. I gained weekends. I gained you. She stopped. I squeezed her hands. Vivian, look at me. She did. I'm happy. Her eyes became wet. Really? Really? You don't miss it? I miss some people. Not the job. No. Not being beside me every day. I smiled. I'm beside you right now. That's different. Better different. She stared at me for a moment, then whispered, I'm scared. I had never heard Vivian say those words before. Of what? That one day you'll wake up and realize loving me is exhausting. I stood and pulled her into my arms. She held me tightly. You are exhausting. She hit my chest. I laughed. But I love you. That wasn't funny. It was a little funny. She buried her face against my shoulder. I kissed her hair. I'm not going anywhere. You said that before you resigned. That was a job. So, you're not my job. She pulled back. What am I? I smiled. My girlfriend. Her expression immediately became dissatisfied. What? Nothing. That was definitely something. She hesitated, then said, girlfriend sounds temporary. You said here. Vivian. What? Are you proposing to me? Oh, you look disappointed. I'm not. You are. I simply think terminology matters. I laughed. Then I kissed her. When I pulled away, she whispered, Daniel, yeah, I'm serious. About what? I don't want temporary. My smile disappeared. Neither did hers. I touched her cheek. Neither do I. 6 months after I resigned, my mother tried to set me up again. Technically, we were having dinner at my parents' house when she said, Daniel, I found the perfect woman for you. Vivian slowly lowered her fork. I stared at Mom. Please don't. She's successful. Vivian's eyes narrowed. Mom, beautiful. Mom, brunette. Vivian looked at me. I could see her trying to determine whether murder was acceptable at a family dinner. She has a terrible personality. Mom continued. Dad started laughing. I finally understood. Vivian didn't. She works too much. My sister covered her mouth. She steals phones. Vivian froze. Mom smiled, and apparently she's been waiting 6 months for my son to propose. I closed my eyes. Mom. Vivian turned slowly toward me. 6 months. Do not encourage her. Your mother makes an excellent point. No, she doesn't. She usually does. Dad said. Dad. Everyone laughed. Vivian leaned closer. 6 months is a reasonable period. Stop for evaluation. You sound like you're reviewing a quarterly report. I'm simply saying. I kissed her, right there at the table, mostly to shut her up. It worked. When I pulled back, Vivian looked stunned. My sister applauded. Mom said, finally. I stood. Dessert? Vivian caught my wrist. Daniel, dessert. We're discussing something. No, you and my mother are conspiring. I like your mother. That has become a serious problem. The truth was, I already had the ring. I'd had it for 3 weeks. I just didn't know how to propose to Vivian Mercer. A restaurant felt too public. A vacation felt too obvious. Her apartment felt too casual. My apartment felt worse. Ethan suggested skydiving. I stopped asking Ethan for advice. Then one Friday evening, I went to pick Vivian up from work. Rebecca waved when I arrived. She's finishing a call. Thanks. I walked toward the office, and suddenly I stopped. My old desk was still there. Not mine anymore. Rebecca had made it her own. Different photos, different coffee mug, different organization system. But standing there, I remembered everything. The resignation letter, the breakfast, the arguments, Vivian stealing my phone, her telling me I already had someone. I smiled. This was the place. Not because it was romantic, because it was ours. Vivian came out of her office, saying, I'm ready. She stopped when she saw me standing beside the desk. What? Nothing. You're smiling. I'm happy. Her expression softened. Good. She picked up her coat. Dinner? In a minute. She frowned. I reached into my pocket. Her eyes immediately dropped to my hand, then widened. Daniel. I pulled out the ring. She stopped breathing. Remember when I quit? She stared at me. Yes. You stole my phone. I borrowed it. You stole it. I returned it. Eventually, her eyes were already wet. I stepped closer. You told me I didn't need blind dates because I already had someone. Her lips trembled. I was right. You were. I took her hand. I spent years thinking I needed to leave you to find the life I wanted. She squeezed my fingers. Turns out I just needed to stop being your employee long enough to realize that life was standing in front of me. Daniel, I love you. A tear slipped down her cheek. I love your impossible schedule. She laughed through the tears. I love the way you pretend you don't need anyone. Another tear. I love that you remember how I take my coffee. 2 sugars. I love that you still get jealous when Samantha emails me. I'm working on it. Very slowly, she uses too many smiley faces. I laughed. Then I dropped to one knee. Vivian covered her mouth. The great Vivian Mercer, who could stare down a room full of executives without blinking, was openly crying now. Vivian Mercer. Yes. I haven't asked yet. Yes, anyway. People nearby started laughing. I smiled. Will you marry me? Yes. Are you sure? She grabbed my face with both hands. Daniel Reed. If you ask that question again, I will marry you twice. I laughed. Then I stood and slipped the ring on her finger. She stared at it, for once, completely speechless. Then she kissed me. Someone applauded. Then everyone did. Vivian didn't care. Neither did I. When we finally pulled apart, she kept both arms around my neck. You took too long. 6 months. Too long. You waited 3 years. That was different. How? I was emotionally repressed. I burst out laughing. She looked offended. You're the one who called me that. I never expected you to admit it. Clearly, she kissed me again. Then she looked at the ring. I'm keeping this. That was generally the idea. And you. Also the idea. Good. We got married the following spring. Small wedding, family, close friends, no business press, no corporate circus. Vivian insisted. I don't want to share you with strangers that day. I didn't argue. Rebecca became Vivian's permanent executive assistant and, to everyone's surprise, eventually became one of the few people capable of telling her no. Vivian still complained. Rebecca ignored her. I was proud. My consulting work grew into something I actually enjoyed. I worked fewer hours, made enough money, had dinner with my wife almost every night. Wife. I never got tired of that word. 3 months after our wedding, I was getting dressed for dinner when my phone buzzed. A message from my mother. I have another woman I want you to meet. I laughed. Vivian walked out of the bedroom, fastening an earring. What? My mother. What does she want? She found another woman for me. Vivian stopped. Slowly. What? I held up the phone. Her eyes narrowed. Then she walked over, calmly removed the phone from my hand, and put it in her purse. You said here. You're doing this again? Yes. We're married. Exactly. That makes stealing my phone more acceptable? Yes. I laughed. She stepped closer and adjusted my jacket. Who is she? I don't know. You didn't ask? I enjoy living. Good answer. She started toward the door. I caught her hand. Vivian, what? You know you don't have to worry anymore, right? She looked at me. I know. Then give me my phone. No. Why? Her expression became almost smug. Because I like taking things that belong to you. That sounds terrible. You married me under emotional duress. She raised an eyebrow. Would you like a divorce? Absolutely not. Then stop complaining. I pulled her back toward me. She laughed as she collided lightly with my chest. That laugh was still rare enough that I loved hearing it. I kissed her forehead. You know what the funny part is? What? I really thought I quit because I needed to find someone. You did find someone. No. I shook my head. I already had someone. Vivian's expression softened. She wrapped her arms around my waist. Yes, she said quietly. You did. I kissed her, then reached toward her purse. She slapped my hand away. Nice try. That's my phone. My husband's phone. Same thing. Exactly. I laughed. 5 years ago, Vivian Mercer had been the coldest woman I knew. 3 years ago, I'd fallen hopelessly in love with her. 1 year ago, I'd finally decided to leave. And somehow, quitting my job to find love had ended with my Ice Queen CEO stealing my phone, ruining my blind dates, chasing me shamelessly, becoming my girlfriend, meeting my ridiculous family, and eventually wearing my ring. I never made it to those 6 blind dates. Turns out I didn't need them. Vivian had been right from the beginning. I already had someone. I'd just been waiting for her to finally admit that she wanted me too. And now she was standing in my arms, wearing my ring and refusing to return my phone. I could live with that for the rest of my life.